All right, this is Coach McCarthy. We are on promotion. We already defined promotion. Talked about that there's different stages in the product life cycle. Your promotional purpose is going to be a little bit different in each one of those stages. All right, so you got to make sure you understand where you're at and what you're trying to do. When you start delving into it a little bit deeper, you want to know what the competition is doing. All right, how much money do we have to be able to put something together, and who are we trying to get after? All right, and I think that's the biggest one is who we're trying to get after, who's our target, who we're trying to send this out to. We talk about that you're going to use a promotional mix, and those are going to be the different ways, methods that you're going to use to get it out there, or whatever your purpose. How are you going to get your purpose up? Building awareness. How are you going to get that out to folks? We talk about there being five: advertising, PR and sponsorship, personal selling, direct marketing, and sales promotion. And with advertising, we talked about that it's a lot of things that you're going to pay for. We talked about that there's historically a big three of radio and television and print. And when we talk about print, again, it's just more so newspaper. And the one thing that's kind of killed all three of those are electronic, are technology, social media, and things along those natures, those lines. We talked about that there are some advantages. You can pick the perfect time you want to do it. We talked about Super Bowl being a great time to do it. You can get that feeling of drama in there to get people to connect with it. And you can build up your brand. All right. Now, today, there are some disadvantages of advertising. Okay. Impersonal. It doesn't have that person from the company. Right. You don't get that personal touch. You don't get that personal connection. Not very flexible because basically, if you're paying for print, it's one thing. Whatever you put down on there is going out. Every one, there's only one commercial, and that's what's going to be shown all the time. So you can't really change it. You can't manipulate it or fit it to one specific scenario or one target market over another. Limited ability to close a sale. You don't have that ability to talk to the consumer and really push through that final. This is why you should buy it and close that sale. One of the other big things that we talk about is cost. Right? We talked about this when we talked about the Super Bowl. That is the single most expensive method of advertising on television that there is. So marketers often argue that advertising offers a cost-effective way to reach large groups, which I would say it probably does. And it's true that the cost per contact can prove lower than with other promotional methods. Maybe. Many entrepreneurs lack the finances to invest heavily in this method of advertising because it is so cost effective. It is so costly. It costs a lot of money to use advertising and put your product out there. All right, producing and placing professional advertisements is prohibitively expensive for many emerging growth companies. They just don't have the money to put together an advertisement that can run on the Super Bowl. Don't have the money to be able to pay for it. We don't have the money to be able to spend on radio. We don't have the money to be able to spend on television commercials, to be able to put a commercial together and put one out there. So, and again, that's where technology has changed a lot of that. It doesn't cost quite as much to advertise as it used to. But for a long time, those things were so costly that it kept people from using those methods. The next one being follow through. So we talk about advertising and commercials and things like that. Attention grabbing advertising can attract interest. Even the most innovative campaigns can become stale over time. People just get worn out over seeing the same thing. Entrepreneurs may grow to rely too much on advertising at the expense of more personal, direct appeals to niche audiences. So to smaller groups and people that some people want that. They want to talk to someone. Right? We want that in life a lot of times. We want to be able to talk to a person about our product and learn more about it, not just someone that's being paid to talk about it. All right, I want to know why I should use this because it's good, not because you're being paid to tell me it's good. To tell me why you like it over the other things. So we lose that when we talk about advertising. The next one we have lack of feedback. Measuring the success of advertising can prove sometimes impossible. It's a very daunting task. Some of the best TV commercials from a stylistic standpoint may not increase sales for the advertiser. All right, we're not getting what we want out of it. You can put this great commercial together and spend a lot of money on it, but if it's not drawing in the customers that we need, then it's not worth it. So it's hard to tell if those numbers are lining up. All right, hard to see if they're connecting. And the last one we talk about with advertising, and we touched on this one just a few slides before, we talk about consumer indifference. As people get pelted, and we get a lot of promotional messages throughout the day, they become better at screening out ads. And I think we're all getting a lot better at not paying attention to ads. Information overload and clutter can lead your target audience to turn away from your best efforts to engage them. And I think that's where a lot of us are now, that we feel as though we get so many ads for everything that we just don't even pay attention to ads anymore. When commercials and we see commercials, and we see commercials differently. When we were younger, we would see commercials for our on our televisions, and that's when you would go to the bathroom or get up and move around. Now you can skip through them. So those people are paying a lot for those, and it's not getting out there because we as consumers are just so tired of seeing those ads. We don't want to see ads anymore. And they're spending a lot of money on advertising, and it's not getting through. It's not getting to the target audience.